For my context for learning, I put elementary school, and I put that the school is located in a town. Any special features? I put special features of my classroom setting, which will affect certain students who get placed in different placement during instruction by a special teacher for small group speech instruction. Those students include the English learning students that are present in the classroom. There's also another teacher who is a classroom aide that will stop by and check in during the different class periods. During the beginning of the day, there is a leveled small group instruction for approximately 45 minutes called win time. During times when assessments are being given, students that have 504s will be able to fulfill their needs to perform to their best potential and be placed in a different classroom environment. Gifted students that are present in the class will also be given more challenging work and given lesson extensions. Do you want to do yours?
Yes. Sorry, it's like, okay. Mine says, did you put town for yours? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I put town. I didn't know which one.
I put town too. Elementary school, town. The special features, the whole second grade has an instructional assistant that moves through the classrooms as needed. This classroom utilizes small group instruction and has students pulled from the classroom for speech and extra individual instruction. I highlighted pulled because I need to change that to something else. Then for the describe the district, the school does map testing and DIBELS testing 3 times a year, and second grade does site word checks multiple times a month. These assessments help teachers gauge where and what standards students need to work on. And then I'm going to put the curriculum map there as well. Second grade utilizes the whole group and small group. Around 2 hours and 20 minutes is devoted to literacy each day in the classroom. The first 45 minutes is dedicated to reading in whole group and small groups at their tables. The last hour and 35 minutes is dedicated to writing and working on spelling. For tracking and grouping, during direct and whole group instruction for literacy, students are grouped at their table groups based on personality and their literacy ability. For 3, second grade uses Ready Common Core reading books, but they use that in the second half of the year. And right now they just work on the standards and not books. The classroom utilizes a light touch board, which helps engage students and demonstrate the lesson better. Students also have access to the classroom library, and they get on their Chromebooks and they use Lexia and RaskKid and Core 5 for their reading groups. And that's it for my context for learning.
For the rest of my context for learning, I put there are currently no expectations that is used to affect my planning or delivery of instruction. The students do have map testing twice a year, and they will be completing win time for math during the first 45 minutes of school. During my instruction, the 4th grade classes switch between teachers for different subjects. Every class is 1 hour long. I am specifically in a science/social studies classroom, and he mainly focuses, and the cooperating teacher I have mainly focuses on literacy and science and social studies. And the time that is devoted to literacy instruction during that 1 hour is approximately 40 minutes per class. All students, their ability grouping or tracking in literacy. All students in the class are working on grade level reading besides one student. There are students in the class who do have 504s, but they are still reading on grade level. I have to go back and fix the textbooks and instructional programs because I had put science, and me and Mr. Wright switched from science to social studies. And then resources that are currently being used is the light touch board and the whiteboard.
Are you going to put your curriculum map in it?
I'll have to ask him for it, but
I'm going to put it in mine. I just didn't know if you were going to.
And there's 25 students in the class, and there's 3 students with 504s, 2 English language learners, and 2 gifted students.
Oh yeah, we have 20 students. We did have 21 when I read this, so I need to change that. But we have 2 developmental delay, one, I don't just drop my computer, 1 other health impairment, and 1 with ADHD and anxiety.
Okay, so my lesson plan, day 1. Their content area is social studies. The central focus of the lesson is how to explain what happened in a historical text by using specific details from the text. The essential literacy strategy is summarizing a reading selection, which is an informational text, which the one we are using is historical. The related skills are identify the main idea and identify key details. Our standard is explain events, procedures, ideas, or concepts in a historical, scientific, or technical text, including what happened and why, based on specific information in the text. And their vocabulary words are explain, events, procedures, ideas, concepts, and historical text. Some prior knowledge they may have is they're able to read the text and be able to acknowledge what happened in the story in the beginning and in the end. Some students may have some knowledge about some events that have taken place in history. To begin my lesson, we go over what historical text is and what the students believe is a historical text. I'm going to tell them that we are going to explore some historical text, and then they're going to write down some definitions. And then now that they are familiar with their vocabulary, they're going to observe a picture of King Ferdinand, and they're going to write some observations and complete some questions about it. And then they are going to read certain pages in their book of Racing to Colonize a New World, and they're going to create a T-chart. And on one side of the T-chart, they're going to have New World, and on the other side, they're going to have Old World. And we're going to do one as a class together, and then they're going to do one. Then they're going to do the rest on their own. And they're going to rally Robin with their partner, their elbow partner, about what they learned. And they can share some information as like a class discussion. And then at the end, they're going to answer like 3 questions and 2 open-ended questions as their formal assessment. And
for my lesson 1, I just have 4 students with an IEP or 504. I don't have any gifted or ELL. My lesson sequence is going over images in the text. I highlighted my central focus and my related skills because I think I need to go back and add more to those. But right now it says central focus, using different types of images, essential literacy strategy, using images to comprehend text. My related skills are using pictures, illustrations, and/or photos to understand what the text is about and describe text images. The standard we're using is RI 0.2.7. The content objective, students will explain how images help me understand the text. Their vocabulary was explain, graph, diagram, map, photograph, illustration, and infographic. For the lesson considerations, I need to go back and list prereq skills. But for the prior academic, I said students should be able to identify that there is an image in the text. Students have seen images in previous activities. For the introduction, ask students if they know what images and text are or if they remember seeing them before. Talk about the importance of images and text and some of the purposes they have. Explain to students how images and text can help you understand the topic and sometimes be able to help you figure out what the text says. So for the learning activity, we create an anchor chart together of the different types of images and text and their definitions. I highlighted explain because I need to write more. I'm going to explain that better. After we discuss and create the anchor chart, they work in their table groups to match the images, their names, and a picture of them together, and the teacher cuts that before. And then go over is highlighted because I need to find a different word for that. After the students match their images together, they get up in front of the class and show what their group has got, and then group the class back into their 5 table groups and give each group a different type of image, like photograph, diagram. And students must search through a nonfiction book and different passages for their specific type of image, and then draw and duplicate the image that they found in their book, and then present it to the class and explain like the purpose of the image. And then the plan supports, I just have the 4 students, reader, scribe, extended time. The developmental delay has a calm down space and repeated direction, and then the ADHD and anxiety has stand if needed.
I have my plan supports highlighted because I don't have them on those focus students.
Oh, yeah, I just did mine. I just read them all out and did it downwards.
I need to do that.
My closure is highlighted because I just need to add more detail to that.
I need to add more.
And informal assessment, have students write on a piece of paper the 5 types of images they learned and give an example. In the formal assessment, give the students a reading passage. I think for this one, it was over the brain, and they just answered 3 open-ended questions. And feedback, I highlighted the feedback because I need to give them strategies, and I highlighted weaknesses because I need to change that to weakness. Then the extension, give the students an index card and then have them draw an image on one side and then write the purpose of the image on the other side. And I'm changing my research theory for my first lesson.
For my second lesson, we are using the same central focus, same essential literacy strategy, same related skills, same standard, and the same key vocabulary. The prior knowledge and misconceptions are still the same. For my introduction of the lesson, I needed a student to remind me what a historical text is. I gave them a vocabulary sheet that they can keep with them after they wrote their definitions down. I knew that some of them weren't able to get all of them down, so I gave them a vocabulary sheet. We watched a YouTube video called Christopher Columbus, This Land Is My Land. Then as the learning activities, I pass out the book, the historical text, Racing to Colonize a New World. They are going to read the book fully. And as the students are reading that, I will pass out a copy of the Frere model that they're going to be completing. They're all going to have different jobs of their Frere model. Like in one box, it was like draw a picture, and then important people, important facts, and then the time period. In the middle of their Frere model, they're going to put the section of the book that they read. They'll get plenty of time to complete that. After they complete their Frere model, they're going to do a hand up, stand up, pair up, and they're going to go to different groups and write down their important facts. And we're going to share important facts at the end of class that we all found and that we all think would be important for everyone to know. Based on that section of the book, they'll also be completing the Frere model is going to be their informal assessment. And then they have a formal assessment at the end, which would be 3 questions and 2 open-ended questions based on what they had learned that day. I need to do my plan supports again and my closure. I could add some stuff to that. The assessment strategy has been the same. The teacher will monitor student progress during assignments and make appropriate comments. The teacher will also collect the student's work and notes and assess for understanding of concepts taught, write comments on the students' papers, and return them. This aligns with the objective by the assessment is aligned with state objectives by having the teacher monitor students' progress of if they are successfully explaining events, procedures, ideas, or concepts in a historical text. The assessment will also be assessing if students are using specific information from the text to explain what happened and why. The evidence of student understanding, the teacher will be able to check for student understanding by observing whether the students are able to correctly identify the events, procedures, ideas, or concepts in a text. The teacher will also ask the students to explain what specific details they found in the text orally and physically write the information down to check if the students are successfully comprehending what the historical text is explaining. The student feedback, the teacher will be making appropriate comments to the students or students. The teacher will also be collecting students' work. I need to work on my student feedback. My extension, I have to create an extension. And the research that I have been using is Bloom's taxonomy. They are in the second step of Bloom's taxonomy, which is comprehension. And the strategy that they will be using is explain. And I also use a Spencer Kagan strategy, the stand up, hand up, pair up during this lesson.
My lesson goals and my standards are all the same. My content objective is the same. The only vocabulary I added was solar system and scientists because they have a passage over the solar system. The prior academic knowledge, students will have learned the previous day the different types of images and their definitions. Students will have applied their knowledge on a worksheet, but I'm going to change that to activity, and they will have looked at the different types of images in nonfiction books. Misconceptions are the same. For my introduction, I'm just going to go around and ask the class to name the 5 different types of images that they learned about and their definitions. Ask students if they know what the solar system is or if they have any previous knowledge on it. And then remind them of the procedures and expectations while working in pairs and groups and explain the first steps to starting the activities. My learning activities for this day was students work with their assigned table group to read a text about solar systems aloud and discuss the image that was there on the paper. They will discuss the things they've learned both from the passage and the image. And then they will work with their table to draw the facts from the text and determine if it is learned in the text or if it's learned in the image. And they just underline it if it's in the text. And they just sort it out. My plan supports for that is the same as lesson 1. For my closure, I need to add more details, but students will discuss their answers from the text or image activity as a whole group. Ask students to name the difference between finding images in the answer or finding answers in the text or the image. Have a few students explain how images can help them while reading the text, and then remind them to look for the important details to help them. My alignment with the objective is the same, and so is my evidence for student understanding. I'm changing my feedback to add more detail and add their weaknesses and needs and strategies. But my informal assessment, the students were given a passage with their table groups. They read it and discussed the image that's on it. And then they completed a Venn diagram of their information and whether it comes from the text or images. I changed this when I actually taught it. I did it as whole group and not like small group, so I could change it on there. And then the reading passage with open-ended questions with my formal assessment. And then my extension was give students a task card and let them do research on the card using the books from the classroom library. And then I did Bloom's taxonomy for my research theory. And then that's all for that.
For my lesson plan, day 3, essential focus, essential literacy strategy, related skill, standard, the content objective and the vocabulary all stay the same. The prior knowledge and misconceptions also stay the same. For my introduction, we will restate the learning objective for the class. And then I'll also ask them again what the historical text is. And then we will share with each other some different strategies that we have used throughout the week and build off each other's responses that way. And then I'll tell them how we are going to also build on their information by telling them what we are doing today. So to begin the lesson, we are going to do a short summary of any of the main points that we have been reading about and some information that has been mentioned. We complete this summary as a class. Like they give me what I should put in the summary, and I'm going to type it on the board while they write on a piece of paper. And as they are finishing writing, I'll pass out the historical text. They have packets from Monday that they will get out, and they'll turn to the packet, turn to the page in the packet that has the Venn diagram, and it says Old World and New World, and in the middle it says both. And they're going to use their book to find information. They're going to work with their table groups. I model to them what a Venn diagram looks like. They give me some facts that they know off the top of their head, and I'll put it on the side of the old world or the side of the new world. Then they complete the rest of the Venn diagram by themselves as they work with their table group. And as they are finishing up with that, they're going to turn to the pages in their packet called Article Planner, and they are going to put themselves as a European back in the 1400s. They can either write a newspaper article about the New World and whether people should come to it or not, or a letter home saying that they love the New World or that they wish that they could come home. This will help them find important information and create their own opinion. This is an outline for what they're going to know what happened in the historical text. And they also find details. At the end, they're going to have 3 questions to complete, 3 multiple choice questions and 2 open-ended questions. I need to work on my plan supports and my closure. The assessment and assessment strategy is the same. The informal assessment would be the Venn diagram and the article planner, and the formal assessment would be the 3 multiple choice questions and the 2 open-ended questions. The alignment with the objective is the same. The evidence of student learning is the same. My student feedback, I need to work on that. Need to work on extension and think of a better one. I used Bloom's taxonomy again, and I used Universal Design for Learning to guide information processing and visualization, and I did this through modeling a Venn diagram.
My lesson goals, all that's the same. My content objective is the same. My vocabulary for this lesson is text evidence, animal adaptations, explain, environment, and traits. My misconceptions are the same. My prerequisite skills, students will have learned the previous 2 days about the different types of images and their definitions. Students will have applied their knowledge on activities, and they will have looked at the different types of images in nonfiction books. Students will also have taken information out of text and categorized it. For the introduction, remind students of the previous day's lessons and the different types of images, and ask them to explain or give the definitions for those images. Have students name the different types of images, and explain that we will be using informational text to look at images that support passages and identify information that they can find in text about images. That didn't really make sense, so I'm going to change that. For the learning activities, the teacher will picture walk and skim a few pages of 3 to 4 texts or passages. Students will help the teacher determine the information they heard from the text being read aloud versus the information they can learn by just looking at the image. Oh, did you see where it says it's going to end in 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess we'll just hurry it up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my plan supports are all the same. My learning activities, teacher, okay, I already read that. They'll discuss how the information is different from what they can find in the text or the image. Students will work independently to read through a text given to them. They will draw an image after reading the text. This image will need to support the text, the passages they had, and then they will share the image with the table group, and then some will share to the class. The closure, I have to change my closure, so I'm just not doing that right now. My alignment and evidence are the same. I'm changing all my student feedback. My informal assessment, Ask students questions about the information learned, name an image. What is your favorite image and why is it helpful? Formal assessment, they each have task cards and they complete the question that's on the back. The extension is have students discuss with their tables the difference between information and text and images and have them give presentations on different images. Teacher could also give the students another pass of questions. And then I also did Bloom's taxonomy for mine.
My instructional materials, they haven't scanned yet and I haven't put them on a document. But the instructional materials I used throughout this lesson was a T-chart, a Venn diagram, and a vocabulary sheet.
Okay. Should we just like look at each other's instructional materials and assessment and go over the planning commentary on here instead?
Yeah. My assessments are already scanned, so I can just send you those if I need to. My planning commentary. I put the central focus of this learning segment is for students to find specific information from an informational text to aid their comprehension throughout these lessons. The essential literacy strategy will be that students will be summarizing an informational text. Students will also be including what happened and why using specific information from the text. The goal of this lesson is for students to be able to acquire the ability to use the skills that they have learned from each lesson to build upon them and deepen their understanding lessons as the lessons progress and passages grow. The standard is addressed throughout these lessons. The prior learned skills, deepen their understanding of the new skills that are being taught. The new skill that the students will be exploring is able to explain what events, procedures, ideas, or concepts happen in a historical text. That's just a summary. The 3 lessons build upon one another by having them explain deeper and explain what happened and why. They're given a picture to observe their thinking. They haven't, so then they read the rest of the text and then they compare and contrast and then create different things. I have to redo part 2, A. I can send you this because I feel like we're just running out of time.
Okay, well, I can go over. We can just look at each other's, and I'll go over my central focus.
Yeah, because we have like 5 minutes.
The central focus for this learning segment is drawing information from images and informal text. The purpose of this learning segment is to activate prior knowledge, convey concepts and information, and improve comprehension by reinforcing information and encouraging inferencing along with student engagement. For my part B, my central literacy strategy for this learning segment is identifying how images illustrate, provide insight onto the content of informational text. The standard and learning target for the first lesson address the use of images such as diagrams, maps, graphs, photographs, infographics, and illustrations. The necessary requisite skill is understanding the difference between the types of images that can be included within informational text. This skill supports the use of literacy strategy in all 3 parts of the learning segment as students learn about the various types of images that can be used in the text. Students will participate in the creation of an anchor chart, which will incorporate the reading and writing. Oh, sorry. I mean, since we're running out of time, we can just look.
Yeah, I'm looking at yours right now.
And then I'm just putting my citation. I haven't done that yet, but I put my citation at the bottom.
Yeah, I was looking at yours, so.
Do you just have one citation?
I think so.
I only have one.
We actually don't have to have any.
No, I saw that. But
So
I'll just put it down there anyways.
all right. So I have all of your stuff right here, and I'm just looking at it, and it looks good.
Okay, I will. So we're filling the rubric out for each other.
Yeah.
Putting this. How do we get the link from this one?
I'm gonna stop it real